And it is Friday, November 22nd.
And not a bad half hour for the kids to stay tuned, as a matter of fact, because we're going to be talking about a movie that is very much aimed at them, the new Disney movie, Beauty and the Beast. Joel Siegel and I had a wonderful afternoon a couple of months ago. We were able to meet much of the creative team that was working on that movie, and we saw some of the rough sketches and some of the rough parts of that all put together. And it really did look pretty good. The reviews certainly on this movie have been very good. And this morning we will meet one of the animators. He will be here. Also the composer of the music to that movie, and also the voice behind the beauty. So stay tuned. We're going to wrap up this week with a song from the movie.
That'll be fun for you to see the finished version now that you saw the first rough cut.
I very much look forward to it. I have to go out and rent a young child to go with me.
I got a couple. Also this morning.
It is now 17 minutes before 9 o'clock. The word from critics and audiences is that the Walt Disney's new animated feature Beauty and the Beast is the best thing since The Little Mermaid, maybe even better. And no wonder, much of that very creative team is back. Veteran Disney animator Glen Keane created the Beast. Mermaid composer Alan Menken, along with his late collaborator Howard Ashman, wrote the score. And the role of Belle is performed and acted by the newcomer in this group, Broadway actress Paige O'Hara. And they're all joining us this morning, and it is a great pleasure to have you here. And the word certainly is good. I mean, I would think it would please you when it opens in a few cities to get the kind of smash reviews you've had.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. And I want to point out to you that it's not just for kids this time. That people have walked into screenings, and it's actually been more adults than kids. It's been phenomenal that it's really crossed over that way.
Yeah. Well, Alan said that to me when he walked in the studio, and I was talking, but it is still more fun for me, at least, to have a child with me when I go to these. I remember, Glenn, a wonderful afternoon that we had a few months ago. Joel Siegel and I were sitting in an audience while all of you talked about this movie, Under Creation, and we saw rough cuts, some rough drawings, some finished drawings. And I was interested in how you went about the Beast. I noticed you brought your pad with you, but you have a tricky role here. You have to make an animal that, or a character that would be repugnant enough to turn most people off, and yet attractive enough to get Belle.
Well, it's easy to draw repugnant. It's hard to draw something that looks good. But the challenge in doing Beast is to come up with a character that's going to stand through time as like the definitive version of that character. You know, that's how Disney Pictures are. They become the definitive version of that fairy tale. Right. With Beast, the challenge was to try to make him a character based on real animals. It was easy to draw an alien-like character, but with Beast, I wanted him to be based on something that was real.
Why?
There's a believability in it, and it takes place in a very real world in France. So in looking around the different animals, the gorilla has this great, strong brow. There was a strength to that I liked. The general head shape of a buffalo, there's a sadness to a buffalo, the way he hangs his head. In the eyes...
That's interesting. I never thought of that, but that's absolutely right, yeah.
In the eyes, there's a sadness to the eyes, and it's also the window of his soul that you sense that there's a gentleness to this.
Am I correct that because all of the Disney characters, the eyes are so distinctive? Is that, in your mind, as you're creating, the most important part?
Well, that's the point, the place where the audience looks at. You always look into somebody's eyes, and if you're going to make a mistake in the drawing, don't let it be in the eyes.
Right,
that's where everybody's reading it. Right. Beast's eyes, they're blue, you know, and so it's going to... Every time you look into it, there's a reminder that this isn't just an animal. There's actually a young man trapped in this beast's body, trapped between two worlds, an animal and a human world. He's got a mane like a lion. It's kind of the cuddle factor of Beast.
Let me have you keep going, and let me turn to Alan for a minute, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. In the older Disney movies that I grew up on, the music was more incidental. Now I get the feeling as I watch later ones, the music is more central. True?
No, I don't think so.
This is like a Broadway musical set to animation almost.
Yeah, I think there's a perception because Howard and I came to Disney from Little Shop of Horrors. We came from a certain kind of exposure in New York. But I've always been enchanted by the music of all, you know, through time. Disney has been the studio that supported composers, and that's not, I don't think that's new. I think that's a tradition.
No, that's certainly true. I mean, I went around singing Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo when I was a kid.
The Oscars, the recognition, there's a recognition factor that's happening.
I mentioned there's a very touching moment right at the end of the credits, actually, the dedication to this movie. You should mention the meaning of that.
Well, my collaborator Howard Ashman, who was sitting next to me here when we discussed Mermaid
Little
with you,
Mermaid, not long ago.
passed away last March of AIDS. And what can I say? It was this film was written so much in the glow of that last year of his life, and it was difficult, and it was wonderful, and it was inspiring.
Paige, I understand even when he was at his sickest, he was still talking to you about how the songs went in this, right?
He's an extraordinary human being. Yes, actually, early on when we were recording the number Belle, he was very healthy and everything was going great, and he'd fussed at me. He said, "You're getting a little Streisand in there. I want it to be light and lyrical here. I want this very young." And I said, "Okay, Howard, okay, okay." So I'd lighten up my voice, and then many months passed, and he was very sick at that time, and he would listen to the sessions with a telephone up to the speaker, and he could barely speak at this time. And we were recording something there, and I couldn't get one line right. I just couldn't get the phrasing to work, and it was an interesting thing. Peter got on the headset, and he said, "Well, it sounds to me like he's trying to say Streisand." And I said, "He wants it there." Yeah, I knew exactly
what that meant. Well,
yes.
now we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to do. Let me come back just to the drawing. Do we have? Now, there's the finished product.
Boy, that's amazing.
Quick work.
But there is what Glen did, and you can see all the influences of all those animals. The buffalo head, the gorilla. What else in there?
Well, there's a boar tusks in here, and there's just the buffalo head shape, the gorilla, the bear, you know, the lion's mane. Of course, the body is that of a bear, and the legs of a wolf. He's a real evolutionary mess, I guess you could say.
And will now be the definitive beast. We're going to come back. Yeah. You're going to sing Beauty and the Beast, right? A little cheat because you don't sing it in the movie, but it'll be a delight to hear.
We're going to sing together.
We'll do, yeah, with your. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Monday.
Here are Paige O'Hara and composer Alan Menken with the title song from Beauty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time, true as it can be, barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Just a little change, small to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared, Beauty and the Beast.
Ever just the same, ever a surprise, ever as before, ever just as sure as the sun will rise.
As old as time, as old as song, bittersweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong. Certain as the sun, rising in the east, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast. Tale as old as time.
Song as old as rhyme.